we said we get into Michigan and Michigan State. Let's start with Michigan State's 2024 schedule. The non-conference games are Florida Atlantic, Louisiana, and at Boston College. Home, Ohio State, Illinois, Indiana, Purdue, Rutgers. Road, Michigan, Penn State, Maryland, Nebraska. This sounds like a normal Big Ten schedule.
Yeah, it's a normal tough Big Ten schedule. You got Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State.
The 25 schedule is Western Michigan, Youngstown State, at Boston College. Home, Michigan, Penn State, UCLA, Northwestern. That's a pretty attractive home schedule.
Yeah, and a really tough schedule when you look at it. You've got Iowa, Michigan, Penn State, USC, Wisconsin.
Road games, USC, Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. That's a tough slate. And it's interesting because Michigan and Michigan State, like you mentioned earlier, they both get USC and UCLA in
consecutive years.
Yeah, the consecutive year. Like Michigan in 24. Let's go over Michigan's schedule. Their non-conference, Fresno, Texas, Arkansas State. Their home schedule, Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Their road games, Ohio State, USC, Illinois, Rutgers. This is fantastic. I love this. And is it tough? Yep, it's really tough. I go back to it's a good having to travel out west twice in a year. So you're
to play both UCLA and USC, yeah.
So they're trying to keep, even though USC and UCLA are going to have to travel east a lot, and I quite frankly think it's going to take a toll on them. If I were a USC and UCLA fan, I'd be worried about that travel taking a toll on the team.
Well, they're not playing school anymore, so.
No. But Big Ten teams, they don't want, I say Big Ten teams, they don't want the footprint Big Ten teams now to have to travel to the West Coast twice. And you will have some situations where you play the same opponent at the same venue 2 years in a row. That will come up because of the 3-6-6 scheduling. But it will come up between year 2 and year 3. I don't know how big a deal that is. The protected rivals. Were you surprised there were only 11?
Well, I was surprised at what they were, I guess. I didn't realize that these rivalries meant that much to those schools, but I think at some point the school is just like, well, we want to protect one game. Let's do this. But I expected Purdue and Indiana.
Yep.
I expected Northwestern Illinois.
Yep.
And then it gets, I don't know, a little weird because I'm not sure.
Well, you expected Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, Minnesota, Wisconsin.
I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Iowa.
See, Minnesota's protecting 2. Yep. And they're protecting Iowa and they're protecting Wisconsin. That would seem a little weird.
But you have to, like, it takes 2 to tango.
No, I know. So
Wisconsin's Iowa's protecting 3.
This is what's weird to me.
They're protecting Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Iowa, Nebraska. Nebraska,
I can see.
Yep. And Iowa, Wisconsin has just been a great game in the West. Iowa, Minnesota, they play for the pig. Is that it? Yeah, they play for the pig,
what?
The Floyd of Rosedale pig. Well, I mean, it means something.
I'm just saying, like Michigan and Minnesota play for the
doesn't seem to matter as much.
Little brown jug of crap. So they spit into it and stuff. So I mean,
what's the spittoon?
The spittoon. They're all dumb. They really are.
I think they're all awesome.
I mean, I think it's funny that they all have one. But again, Iowa protecting 3 rivalries when I didn't know Iowa even had a rival. So, okay. Good. Hey, they want to protect the game. Go ahead and protect the game.
Here are the 2 most intriguing ones.
Rutgers and Maryland?
Rutgers and Maryland's protected. I would guess. Well, I'll get back to it. Illinois, Purdue is protected.
What?
So it's funny. I was watching.
Is that the Jeff George Bowl? They played for the rights to claim Jeff George?
I literally do not. You might find this hard to believe. I really don't know a lot of Purdue people. And
right.
I don't. And Illinois, I was born in Champaign. My dad was in graduate school in Champaign. And I don't know a lot of Illinois people. But I think I see what they're trying to do. But doesn't that, when you're being recruited to these schools, you get to play in this game. You get to play in that game. They're bragging about not playing anybody.
Well, but here's what they can do. And you know what the truth is. The truth is that they are such a big pillar in college football.
They are.
That all the big schools want to play them. Michigan wants to have him on the schedule. Michigan State wants him on the schedule. Ohio State wants him on the schedule. USC is going to want him on the schedule. They don't have to name a rivalry because it's just going to happen naturally. The Big Ten's going to give them the games. It's a little bit – it has a Notre Dame arrogance about it. I'll agree with that.
I think they're doing the best with their situation. I mean, who's their big rival? It's probably Pitt.
It was, yeah.
And that went away when they joined the Big Ten.
Right. So when Pitt joins the Big Ten in a couple of years, then they can protect that rivalry.
Yeah, they can protect that.
Right? But the other thing is this, Doug, and it's bringing me down. I've talked about it before. College football is so corporate now. It's professional football now that I worry that the rivalries really aren't going to be rivalries down the road.
So
because it's changed so much with NIL and with the transfer portal and just monster money to be made. It's not the same.
Well, I hear you. I'm uncomfortable with the change, and yet I keep saying it because it's true. And obviously, I've got the job that I love, but I'll be there on Saturdays from noon till midnight, and it's still, to me, the best thing going. We'll see if that changes over the course of time, but I still, there's going to be more good games under this format, and I am looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to that.
The only thing that's going to separate college and the pros essentially is going to be the bands and the ages of players, like the students that are playing the game, unfortunately, because that's how much money has gotten into college football. And the rivalries won't be the same, Gator, you're right, but there'll be rivalries. They'll find a way because that's the NFL does it, and maybe they actually rotate. And, 10 years it's with one school, and the next 10 years it happens to be another school, whatever. But, yeah, it won't be the same, but there'll be different type of rivalries. It's just the way when this much money gets involved, things change, man. This is not going to be it's what they say. It's not your dad's college football, and it's going to continue to say that.
It's not my college football.
You're right.
It's my dad's. It's not mine.